The glass doors sighed when they opened, letting in the city's autumn chill, the smell of rain, and a woman with careful eyes. Emma held her small suitcase like it might break the marble if she set it down too fast. Polished floors, citrus wax, a chandelier that glittered like ice, and a silence that wasn't empty at all. It was tense, listening, waiting. Robert stood at the end of the foyer, hands in pockets, jaw set, a man used to being obeyed. 15 in 6 months, Evelyn whispered beside him, the head housekeeper who knew how to keep secrets. She'll walk by Friday. He didn't answer, just looked at the elevator as if it were a rival. Sophia was on the 3rd floor, behind a white door that had not been knocked on gently enough in a long time. 11 years old, bare feet, sweater sleeves pulled over her hands, the ocean of a long summer still trapped in her hair. She stared at the window, where rain smudged the city into charcoal. Emma climbed the stairs slow, each step a quiet promise. She paused outside the white door and didn't knock. Instead, she sat on the floor, back against the wall, and let the house hear her breathe. "Hi, Sophia," she said softly. "I'm Emma." Silence. "I brought cinnamon tea," she added. "It smells like warm cookies." The handle quivered, then rested. Down the hallway, Robert frowned. "What is she doing?" he muttered. Evelyn folded her arms. "Something different." Emma waited, a long silence, the kind that makes your own heartbeat sound loud. "Would it be okay if I leave the cup here and sit by the door for a while?" Emma asked. "You don't have to talk." Another pause, then a whisper, too soft to be sure. Emma slid the teacup forward, warmth fogging the air, cinnamon floating up like a memory. Minutes later, the door opened 2 inches, a small hand took the cup, the door closed. Somewhere in the house, a clock exhaled. "Have you ever watched a room hold its breath?" Emma asked, voice gentle. "I won't push yours to breathe before it's ready." Inside, a sniffle, the scrape of a chair, the careful clink of porcelain. Emma leaned her head against the wood and lowered her voice to a secret. "You are safe with me." 5 words, Robert heard them from the hallway, and something in his face flinched. He had fired 15 for less. Wrinkled sheets, a late breakfast, a loud laugh. Fired them because control feels like safety when you're scared to lose what you love. The door opened a little wider. Sophia's eyes were wary, but no longer storming. "Cinnamon," she murmured, almost a smile, almost. Robert took a step forward, then stopped, watching, not daring to speak. Emma didn't look at him, didn't break the fragile bridge forming between the girl and the tea and the quiet. "Would you like me to read to you?" Emma asked. 2 pages, no more. Sophia nodded, barely. "Have you ever seen the first small thaw of winter, the moment ice becomes water and doesn't even make a sound?" Robert had, now, in his own house, and for the first time in months, the silence felt like rest, not punishment. At the end of the hallway, the elevator chimed. Michael, head of security, stepped out, a shadow in a suit, eyes sharp. He took in the scene, smiled without warmth, and whispered to Evelyn, "Let's see how long this one lasts." The kettle in the upstairs pantry clicked off, the rain struck the glass harder, and Sophia's whisper rose again, clearer this time. 2 pages, she said. "Please." Emma opened the book, and Robert didn't know whether to be grateful or terrified, because when a house starts to breathe again, something else must wake up too. What is it? We're about to find out. A missing locket, a memory, and a test that will decide who gets to stay. Morning came with pale light over steel towers. The kitchen hummed softly, ovens ticking, coffee whispering through filters, the faint purr of the fridge like a sleepy cat. Emma set out a simple breakfast on a small tray. Toast triangles, apple slices, a boiled egg with a crack so soft it looked like a smile. "Miss Sophia only eats 3 things when she's anxious," Evelyn said, joining her. "And none of them involve eggs." Emma nodded. "She can choose." "Choice," Evelyn muttered, almost amused. "We'll see." John, the driver, leaned on the doorframe, wide hands around a small mug. "You're brave to try apples." "Crisp is predictable," Emma replied. "Predictable is kind. Have you ever noticed how your shoulders drop when you know what's coming next?" They carried the tray upstairs. Sophia opened the door before Emma could knock, hair clipped back with a faded ribbon, eyes softer. "Cinnamon again?" she asked. Emma smiled. "Always." In the study, Robert watched on the security monitor, not proud of it, only afraid. Michael stood beside him, arms folded. "We should keep the routine strict," he said. "Boundaries, rules." "Routine isn't the same as rigidity," Robert murmured, surprising himself. Michael's mouth tightened. "You hired me to protect." "As I recall," Robert said. "I hired you to prevent disaster." Michael's stare cooled. "Same thing." Emma set the tray on the floor and sat cross-legged beside it, mirroring Sophia. "We can pick," Emma said. "Toast, Apple, egg or none? Sophia's fingers hovered, then chose an apple slice, the crunch small, delicate. Nice, Emma said. Listen to that. They listened, two girls in different sizes, to a sound that said, "This minute is safe." "Will you go with me to the music room?" Sophia asked, surprising them both. Emma nodded. "Lead the way." Evelyn blinked, as if someone had opened a window in winter. She hasn't asked to go there since. She didn't finish. The music room smelled faintly of dust and old cologne, sunlight dragging gold across the piano's black back. There was a frame turned face down on the bookshelf, a small velvet box and a thin, invisible wire stretched between the past and the present. Sophia touched the piano lid, then the velvet box. "Mom kept her locket here," she whispered. "It's missing." A draft moved through the air like a sigh. Emma crouched, level with her. "Do you want to look for it together?" Sophia nodded, but her breath went shallow, small hands twisting. Emma slowed everything. "5 things we can see," she said softly. "Piano, window, rug, the velvet box, your ribbon. 4 things we can feel. 3 things we can hear." The house listened as the panic found gentler ground. Downstairs, Michael watched the same footage, eyes flicking to the locket's empty spot. He tapped his phone, a message sliding away like a silent stone tossed into a dark lake. "Why would someone take it?" Sophia asked, looking up, fishbone of fear still caught in her throat. "Sometimes," Emma replied. "People don't take, they move to keep something safe." "Is that true?" "It can be," Emma said, "and we will find out." "If you were Emma, what would you do first?" "Check drawers, ask staff, review footage, or hold the child steady before touching the past." In the hall, Robert arrived, stopping at the threshold when Sophia didn't shrink. He swallowed, voice gentler than he expected. "I'll help look." Sophia considered him, then nodded once. They turned the room carefully, not greedily. Books opened, boxes checked, dust in the sunlight like tiny parachutes. No locket, only a question growing heavier. On the shelf, the face-down photo slid and tapped the wood. Evelyn caught it, hands shaking. The picture was of Sophia's mother, laughing, wearing the locket, a reflection of someone else behind the lens. Michael, in the corner mirror. Emma and Robert shared a glance, and downstairs, the front door unlocked without a key. Who just came in? A gala invitation, a public humiliation, and a locket that reappears where it never should have been. The invitation arrived heavy as a dare, thick cream paper, Robert Hale's name stitched in ink like a command, a charity gala for a school Sophia had stopped attending weeks ago. "Too many eyes," she had whispered then. "Too many mouths." Tonight, he wanted to try again, or pretend he could. "Only if Emma comes," Sophia said, eyes a little braver. Emma glanced at Robert. "I'm happy to accompany her." Michael's jaw set. "It's not protocol," Robert exhaled. "It is now." The ballroom glittered like a gold lie, perfume and polished silver, and laughter shaped like knives. Strings slid through the air, waiters carried towers of sugared glass, and the chandeliers did their best imitation of stars. "Breathe," Emma murmured to Sophia. "Count the violins. 1, 2, 3. They made it 10 minutes before the first cut. A woman with a smile like a blade looked Emma up and down. "New help," she said to no one, to everyone, another added. "She's pretty in a humble way." Humidity rose behind Sophia's eyes, a blur that could break. Emma touched her sleeve, small anchor. "We can step outside." Robert heard it all, the old fire flaring, the kind that burns everything and everyone, including you. He swallowed it, chose to stay, chose to watch, chose wrong. At the balcony, night air smelled of rain and city stone. Sophia pressed her forehead to the cool railing. "I miss Mom," she said. "I know," Emma answered. "Me too, and I didn't even know her." "How can you miss someone you never met?" "Because I can see how she loved you," Emma whispered. "That leaves a shape you can feel." They returned quietly, and there, on the dessert table between sugared pears and rows of bright cherries, something small and familiar winked under a crystal dome. The locket. Sophia's breath snagged. "How?" Emma lifted the dome, hands steady. Inside the locket was a photo. Sophia as a toddler, cheeks sticky with cake, her mother kissing her nose. On the opposite side, a second photo, newer, printed hastily. Emma herself, reaching for Sophia's hand at the upstairs door yesterday. "What is this?" Robert hissed, fury rising like heat under a locked lid. A voice behind him, smooth, certain. "Evidence," Michael said. "She's been inserting herself where she doesn't belong." "What are you talking about?" Emma asked, calm as late evening, surprised but not shaken. "This is trespass of memory," Michael replied. "Boundaries, remember." Evelyn arrived, out of breath. "That locket was in my office this afternoon for safe keeping. How did it get here?" Heads turned, whispers sharpened, the thin sound of social appetite hungry for a scene. Have you ever felt the room tilt? Not because the floor moved, but because the truth did. Michael lifted his hand, and 2 security men stepped forward. Check her bag, he ordered. No, Robert snapped. Not here, but the men were already moving, trained to the rhythm of Michael's voice, not the meaning of Robert's. They opened Emma's small purse. A folded receipt from a corner print shop fluttered out, 2 passport photos inside, one of Emma, one of Sophia's picture, cropped from a magazine profile of the Hale family. Michael's smile was narrow and cold. See, Emma looked at Sophia, then at Robert. This isn't what it looks like, she said. Please come home, both of you. Arrest her. Someone at a nearby table whispered, loving the word too much. Sophia reached for Emma's hand, small, shaking, and the entire ballroom watched the richest girl in the room choose the poorest ally. Robert's world narrowed to that touch. Then security took a step closer, and the night cracked. If you were Robert, would you cut or mend? Would you punish or listen? Would you be the fire or the hand that cups it? He chose, too slowly. Flashbulbs flared, and the locket swung like a pendulum counting down to something none of them could name. Back at the house, a sensor light blinked on in the upstairs music room, even though no one was there, or so they thought. Footage that tells a different story, a driver with a long memory, and a father who runs out of excuses. They returned to a house that had been holding a secret by the teeth. The air felt thinner, the kind of thin that happens when storms pass and leave the truth behind. Emma stood in the foyer, hands open. Let me show you something, she said. Please. Michael moved first. You've shown enough. John, quiet until quiet mattered, stepped between them. Boss, he said to Robert. There's camera footage you should see. From where? Music room, John replied. And the hallway outside Evelyn's office. They climbed to the study, screens waking into grainy light. John cued the hallway camera from that afternoon. There was Evelyn, careful, placing the velvet box in her office drawer, turning the key, pocketing it. 2 minutes later, Michael approached. He didn't open the drawer, not then. He slid a white envelope under the door, glanced at the camera once and left. What am I looking at? Robert asked, jaw tight. Wait. John said, scrubbing forward. Evelyn returned, found the envelope, frowned, opened the door, stepped inside. While she unfolded the letter, a slim hand, gloved, appeared from the far side of the frame, slipped a hook on a rod through the ajar window, lifted the drawer release, a magician's trick, simple, precise, practiced. The gloved hand took the velvet box, replaced it with a duplicate, and vanished. Identify that hand. Michael snapped, too fast, too loud. John shook his head. Can't. Emma spoke softly. Play the music room. On that screen, an hour later, a shadow we recognized entered from the service door, one of Michael's men. He placed the velvet box under the piano bench, as if he'd done it before. He looked straight into the lens and smiled. Why would my guy plant it? Michael demanded, voice paper-thin. Because you told him to, John said, tired now, like a man who'd carried someone else's lie for long enough. Michael's eyes slipped to Robert, calculating, pleading, warning, all at once. Protecting the family means protecting the truth, he said. This girl is changing the routine. Routine isn't safety, Robert whispered. Control isn't care. Have you ever watched a man meet the person he became while he wasn't paying attention? Robert did, and he hated it. Emma stepped forward, her voice steady. I took the receipt because Sophia wanted to make a small photo for the locket when we found it. Sophia, standing behind Robert, nodded quickly. It was my idea. I said we'd ask permission tomorrow, Emma added. I shouldn't have waited. Evelyn's keys rattled in her fist. I moved the locket this morning because the clasp was weak, she confessed. I meant to tell you, then everything went sideways. John rubbed his jaw. Boss, I've driven for you 15 years, I've seen the good and the cost of it. He turned to Michael. You have too. Michael said nothing, which was its own kind of confession. Call your man, Robert told him, voice low. Now. Michael didn't move, so Robert did, and in 2 sharp sentences the lie came apart like a cheap suit. The guard admitted the plant, the rehearsal, the timing. Per instructions, he said, the phrase a nail in wood. Sophia's small hand found Emma's, and this time Robert didn't flinch. He looked at them, at the monitor, at the ghost of his wife in the piano's glossy sheen, and at the reflection of a man who had made the house hold its breath for too long. Michael, Robert said, you're done here. Michael's mouth opened, closed, opened again, searching for a weapon sharper than the truth. Security will escort you off the property. Robert finished, voice no longer loud, just final. Evelyn's posture softened as if a tight wire inside her had finally snapped. John exhaled, the long, slow kind, and the house breathed. Robert turned to Emma, words thick, unfamiliar. "I'm sorry," Emma nodded, eyes bright. "Okay," she replied, "but Sophia first." If you were Sophia, would you trust the apology or the pattern? She chose the only measure that mattered. The next small moment. "Tea," she whispered, "cinnamon," and everyone understood the test. Downstairs, the kettle sang. Upstairs, the piano lid lifted. In the polished wood, a reflection that wasn't there yesterday smiled back at them. Sophia's, but steadier. A final choice, a father's promise, and the 5 words that turn power into shelter. The storm broke at dawn, the kind of rain that rinses the city and leaves the air tasting like pennies and leaves. Robert stood at the kitchen island, sleeves rolled, hands unsure, trying not to burn toast. "Careful," Evelyn murmured, amused and moved. "You rule fleets of chefs and can't butter bread." "I'm learning," he said, and meant all of it. Emma entered with Sophia, both in socks, both with damp hair from standing a minute too long at an open window. "Morning," Emma said, ordinary and miraculous. "Morning," Robert answered, trying the word on like a new suit he hoped he deserved. "Tea," Sophia announced, soft, certain. "Cinnamon." "Yes," Robert said, "cinnamon." They sat at the small table near the window, not the formal dining room where forks lined up like soldiers. John came and went with a grin and a grocery bag, rearranging the fruit bowl like it was a mission. Evelyn put a plate down for herself for the first time in months, and no one made it strange. "Dad," Sophia said, the word catching on the edge of a memory. Robert stilled. "I don't like the gala," she added. "I don't want to go back yet." "You don't have to," he replied, simple, no speeches, no calendar. Emma looked down, smiled into her tea. "Have you ever felt the relief of being believed without debate?" Sophia did, and it made her brave. "I want Emma to stay," she said. "Please." Robert turned to Emma. "Will you?" Emma's eyes flicked to Evelyn, then to John, as if to ask the house itself. "I will," she said, "if you'll let me do the job my way." "What does that mean?" "Gentle, slow, with choice," she answered. "And with consequences for cruelty, no matter how rich it looks." Robert nodded, a little shamed, a lot grateful. "Yes." He stood, cleared his throat, and addressed the people who had kept the house running through every weather. "I fired people for less," he said, honest as flint. "I was trying to control what I was afraid to feel." He looked at Sophia. "I am done confusing power with care." Evelyn's chin trembled. John's mouth pressed hard, proud. "From today," Robert continued, "this house protects the small, the quiet, the different." Sophia reached into her pocket and pulled out a tiny photo, hers and her mother's nose kiss, reprinted by the corner shop, edges wavy. "Can we fix the locket clasp?" she asked. Emma nodded. "We're on it," Robert smiled. "I know a jeweler who can work wonders without a stage." They walked to the music room together. Rainlight made paths on the floor, the piano shone like a calm lake. Emma set the locket on the velvet and, with Evelyn, repaired the clasp. Gentle, exact. Sophia opened it, pressed the photo inside, then looked at Emma with an expression you don't earn, you are given. "Read to me," she said. 2 pages. Emma sat, back against the bookshelf, the way she had that first day, Sophia curled against her side, the locket warm in her small palm. Robert stood in the doorway, not guarding, not commanding, witnessing. He thought of all the times he had tried to shout fear into obedience, and how it never once brought peace. Emma began, voice low, before the second page. She paused and looked at Sophia, then at Robert, then at the house that finally exhaled. She spoke the promise that had opened the door and kept it open. 5 simple words that turned a mansion into a home. "You are safe with me." Sophia's shoulders dropped, a last piece of winter melting. She didn't say thank you, didn't need to, she just leaned closer, and somewhere deep in the house the air filled with the smell of cinnamon and rain and something new. Trust. If you were standing in that doorway, what would you choose to protect first? Your image, your control, or the quiet safety of someone you love? What does real wealth mean to you? And where have you seen gentleness change a life? Tell me below. Share your story, your moment, your turning point, and let's learn from it together.